All right, we have Kirsten Fleming from the ScotiaBank Calgary Marathon with us. She has agreed to do an interview. We're super excited to have her because we know that MitoCanada has done so many awesome things with the Calgary Marathon partnership. We couldn't do half the things that we do without the Calgary Marathon. So having Kirsten here, being able to share her story and with us we're super excited to have her. One of the things that I know that hasn't changed for the ScotiaBank Calgary Marathon is the community engagement being a large focus for the Run Calgary. And that is certainly appreciated by all these groups that have engaged in the past with the ScotiaBank Calgary Marathon. So I wanted to ask you, can you tell us about the Charity Challenge engagement this year and how it may be different and how it's maybe offered some new opportunities?
Absolutely. So in my opinion, virtual racing is perfect for Charity Challenge. The Scotiabank Charity Challenge works with about 80 community partners, and fundraising did not go on hold. Cancer didn't go away. Research for Alzheimer's still needs to happen. So we have all of these charities who probably aren't having galas or other ways to fundraise in 2020, at least on the gathering front. So the Scotiabank Charity Challenge is still going strong. We actually never did pause the Scotiabank Charity Challenge, so fundraising has continued this whole time, although, when everybody was in the throes of the pandemic, certainly we saw the dollars were not there, but it's really come back. And the reason I think that virtual is so perfect is that if you're a charity that maybe doesn't have a lot of people who run or even walk or participate in races, it's probably a really hard sell to get them to sign up and to get up really early and drive down and pay for parking and come down to Stampede Park if they support the cause, but they're not identifying as someone who runs. So now all of a sudden you have this virtual opportunity where it's like, hey, you sign up, you can run or walk, you can split a marathon over a whole month or a whole summer. You don't have to get up at 4 a.m. You don't have to drag the kids out of the bed or find a babysitter. You can include the whole family, and you don't have to pay for parking and, all those things. So now all of a sudden it opens up the opportunity for charities to speak to an audience that maybe they weren't speaking to before, where it just is a lot more convenient for people to participate. And the beautiful thing about the Scotiabank Charity Challenge and why I think it's such a unique aspect of the races, especially in Canada here for all the Scotiabank races, is that Scotiabank, as the title sponsor of our event, they also sponsor the program. So that means that 100% of the fees are covered. So if a charity gets $100 from someone, so let's talk about MitoCanada, someone donates $100 to MitoCanada, MitoCanada gets 100% of that, where a lot of other platforms, there's chipped away, those fees are chipped away, having to pay credit card fees and processing fees. So all of a sudden now, MitoCanada has this nice long period where they can fundraise all the way up until September 27th. And Scotiabank has been generous enough to extend that period for covering the fees for our entire race window. So wow. Not only is MitoCanada fundraising through the Scotiabank Charity Challenge, but since we announced that we're going virtual, we've actually had 3 new charities join the Scotiabank Charity Challenge, ones that have never participated in before. So we're excited about the opportunity to continue to fundraise for charities who are really going to need that help this year.
Yeah, and that's been fantastic. I didn't know about that, and thank you, Scotiabank, for that extension and seeing an opportunity and being involved in our community. So that is very much appreciated. So thank you, Scotiabank, and for that partnership. The other partnership I wanted to talk to you about is the partnership that you guys had in place with the Guinness World Records. I talked to Chrissy from Guinness World Records, and she had such an energy for these amazing events that happen, and all the events that get adjudicated at marathons get an expedited opportunity to get these races and get these records and get that recognition. And so she was able to share that, yes, they have now shifted their focus to social and given that opportunity. So maybe I was going to ask you to talk about that partnership with Guinness World Records and the Scotiabank Calgary Marathon.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a dream of mine for 7 years since Blaine and 10 Fast Guys got their first Guinness World Record of the 2013 ScotiaBank Calgary Marathon, which was also my first year as executive director. It's been a dream of mine to get Guinness on site, and it's taken 7 years, and now I guess it'll go 8. But to be able to forge that relationship with Guinness World Records is really special. And here's why. If you look at any marathon or event that has Guinness World Records in attendance, it just like adds this flair and a bit of lore and cachet. It's exciting. And to have someone there in their like their suits and their, you know, they have the official results pad and they make it all official in real time. Just, it's got a really incredible energy around it. And as a race director, I've been at other races and on the sidelines year over year where we have the adjudicators on site, particularly at our friends in Toronto at the Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon, who've done an incredible job building that program and been able to see its success and wanting to be able to duplicate that and bring it here to the Scotiabank Calgary Marathon. And it would not have happened without the hard work, not just this year from Blaine and MitoCanada, but really Blaine sparked this in 2013 and got his crazy fast friends involved. And every year it's evolved, and we've always had, you know, an open source where any charity and frankly any runner could participate and apply for a Guinness World Record. But anybody who's ever been successful will tell you that the real record actually starts when you have to do the paperwork. So by having an adjudicator on site, that really eliminates a lot of that admin work, which is quite labor intensive from what I understand. I've only ever had to write an official letter, but I know that there's a lot of time and effort that goes into making those records official after you've completed your fast marathon or your dressed up marathon. So to have them on site, we are really excited about the partnership, and we know that this year it's obviously on pause. But we hope that they'll be back next year, and the talk was always about having a longer term partnership. And MitoCanada, again, has been really instrumental in helping us make that happen and making my dream of having Guinness World Records on site. In fact, if you ever visit us here at Run Calgary HQ, which is where I am right now, we actually have a Guinness World Records Hall of Fame hallway. And many of the records hanging there belong to members of Team Mito.
And so I was involved with that's how I started, was with the treadmill challenge 4 years ago at the Calgary Expo, when we had multiple records taking place that day, that full 24 hours. That was quite the day. And we couldn't have done it without the Scotiabank Calgary Marathon. So we're super proud of that partnership and we're super excited about that. And that usually comes from a phone call that you may get from Blaine that says, "Hey, Kirsten, I have this idea." Do you ever look at that caller ID and go, "This is exciting," or "Oh boy, what's now? What's happening now?"
No, I would never turn down a call from Blaine Penny. He's incredible. I mean, I'm an ideas person myself, so I love to surround myself by other big. Sometimes we end up in trouble, but more than not, it ends up being incredible, and we learn a lot of things along the way. So, of course, like a 24-hour treadmill all-night event at the expo, I'm sure it made my expo coordinator at the time, our head explode, Erin Healy, a little shout out, she's moved on to other things. She's a huge part of that endeavor. So, I think that part of the reason that the Scotiabank Calgary Marathon has been successful and grown over the last number of years is because we do continue to try and bring new aspects to the race experience for our participants. And we know that as a local and maybe regional race, people come from all over the prairies, but typically it's not people from like all over the world as much as we welcome from New Zealand and the odd person from England, etc. The majority of the people who come to the race are coming year over year, and they're marking it in their calendar, and we're so grateful that we get to be a part of their year. But we want to make sure that they keep coming back and that we give them a reason to. And I think not just the Scotiabank Charity Challenge and all the different initiatives that happen throughout that, but the Guinness World Record, and specifically something like surprising and delighting 20,000 people who come through to get their package. And we know that year they came back multiple times because they wanted to see what the action was and how things were going. So, we really value those big ideas. And I don't think that a runner has ever come to me with something that I haven't at least tried to do for them.